Today, I'm going to talk about the 5 ways that you can, the 5 things you can do, the 5 ways that will instantly improve your sales. Okay, so over the years, as I've worked with people, and I watch the way they sell, and my own experience on the field, and also, with times going out with new people, new leaders, doing sales, what I've seen is there are some very common and also some very easy to fix areas. There's some quite easy fix that will improve your sales performance very quickly. Okay, and today I'm going to talk about 5 of them. Okay, so 5 ways to instantly improve your sales. Number 1, what you need to do is slow down. Okay, that's the first thing. The first thing you need to do to improve your sales is slow down. What do I mean by that? I think a lot of people, especially when you're a new trainee, when you're a new leader, when you're new to sales, or when you're new to a product, thank you, Ian. When you're new to a product or new to sales, we are nervous. That's what happens, right? When you're nervous, you talk a lot and you talk very, very fast. You go blah, 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 blah. Because I think you are afraid, you're worried that the customer is gonna walk away, the customer doesn't want to listen. So the moment you get somebody to listen, you go like, okay, I'm gonna go boom, 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 and they just keep talking, bam, 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 bam. And that is, in my opinion, that's definitely one of the first mistakes and one of the very common early new people mistakes. You see, when you talk to your friends, when you have conversations, you don't go like this. Only when you do a sales pitch, only salespeople talk very, very fast. Okay? But what we want to be is, we don't want to be a salesperson. We want to be like a friend. We want to be like, hey, we're having a conversation. So me and you were talking. So the first thing you need to do is to remind yourself to slow down. Don't talk so fast. Customers cannot understand and cannot listen to what you're saying when you are talking so fast. Calm down, slow down, and have a conversation like a human being, like a friend to a friend. Okay? I think that is very, very important. Now, sometimes customers are in a rush. I understand that. Sometimes maybe you're doing street pitching. Sometimes, maybe you're in events, in a shopping mall, in a certain event, very, very busy, a lot of people. And I know, in Hong Kong especially, I think people are rushing. People are rushing to go to work. People are rushing here to there. So it's very common. I understand that people are rushing. So sometimes when you meet a customer or when you stop somebody, you feel like there is a need to rush. Because if you talk slowly, the person is just going to walk away. Now, I understand that. And it's possible that maybe at the beginning, you have to rush. Maybe you have to talk a little bit faster just for the first 30 seconds, or, for the first, 10 sentences. Do you know what I mean? So when you stop the person at the beginning, they're like, okay, what do you want? What is this? Okay. So they're rushing. But once you go through that first 10 sentences, you can start to slow it down because the person stopped. The person's listening. You finish your introduction and your short story. Now you are entering the stop. You're entering the details. You're entering the presentation. I think you can start to slow down. Okay? So that's very important, okay? That's the first thing you need to do, is to slow down. Number 2, the second thing you need to do is exactly like what I said just now, similar to point number 1, is you need to have a conversation, so you need to ask questions. So number 2, you need to ask questions. You need to also listen. Okay, so here's the thing. What I've noticed with a lot of salespeople is they talk a lot. And I think people who are really good at sales, they don't just keep talking. They don't go like boom, 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 boom. And I think when I was new and when I see new people go out there and do sales, it's the same mistake. Because we feel like we have to convince the customer. We feel like the only way for us to get the sale is to not so much pressure, but is to give so much information. They say okay, but you see, sometimes that may work, but in most cases it doesn't work. And again, back to point number one, people they don't like salespeople. They want to have a conversation with an expert. They want to have a conversation with somebody who cares, or who listens to what they say. So I think one very important aspect of what we must do, or what you must do to become good at sales, is to get good at asking questions. And you can ask questions that are relevant to the product or the service, or you can even ask questions that are not relevant to the product or service. You see, that's the thing. You don't always have to ask about questions about the product. For example, if you're selling, like home cuisine, selling food delivery, as we're doing a test at the moment, you can ask questions like, hey, do you cook yourself? What are the types of food that you usually eat? Do you find that if you have to go to supermarket to buy lots of different things, sometimes it's very it's very troublesome for you? Yeah, sure, you can ask questions relating to the product, no problem. But you can also ask questions that are not relevant, because again, remember, we're trying to have a conversation. So you can ask them about the weather, you can ask them about where they work, how's life, you can ask them about their family, you can ask them about anything. But the key is you have to get good at asking questions and listening. Now, there are also people that ask questions for the sake of asking questions. They just ask. They just go like, oh, so do you like this, like this? Are you like that, like that? Do you know this? Yeah, okay. And then they just go boom, boom, boom. They just pitch. They don't stop and wait for the answer. Or sometimes when the customer gives the answer, they just straight away, boom, next statement, next sentence. Because it's like a script. It's like, okay, Chee Wai say I gotta ask question. So I'm gonna ask question. Okay, so do you cook at home? Sir, do you cook at home? Oh, yeah, sir. Oh yeah, exactly. So here we're here, with home cuisine, we're doing this home cooking delivery thing, and you don't listen. So then again, what the customer feels is you're trying to sell to me. You see what I mean? I think it's very similar to people selling insurance, and I think that's a very good example. See, when we meet an insurance agent, and I've met insurance agents before, I've met lots of different types of insurance agents. There are insurance agents that I like, and there are insurance agents that I don't like. The thing is this, when you meet an insurance agent, you know what they want. You know their objective. It's very straightforward. They want to sell insurance, and they hope that they want to sell it to you. They hope that you will buy from them. That's very clear cut. Whether that's a good or bad insurance agent, they want the same thing. But what is it about good insurance agents that make us like them? And what about the bad insurance agents that make us not like them? It's this question part. The good insurance agents make me feel like they care about me. Make me feel like they want to know me first. Do you understand? The good insurance agents ask me questions about me, about my family, about my life, about my job, about things. Then, as they start to build the trust, I feel like I'm comfortable buying from them. But the bad insurance agents are the ones that don't really want to know me, don't really care about my life, or they pretend and they ask a few fake questions, and then they go on and try to sell me whatever they want to sell me in the first place. And I think for us, a lot of you make the same mistakes. You don't really want to know where they work. You don't really want to know how's the weather. You don't really want to know their life, their kids. You don't really want to know if they cook at home or if they do this or do that. You don't really want to know. So if you don't really want to know, if you're not asking questions or you're not listening, then the feeling the customer gets is exactly what I said about bad insurance agents. They feel like they cannot trust you. They feel like you're not listening, you don't care about them. And if you don't care about them, they don't care about you. So that's point number 2. You're going to make sure you ask questions and you listen. Not just ask because I said ask questions. Really ask. Point number 3. You have to be good at telling stories. Creating an imagination, creating creating a journey. And of course, the key is understanding the impulse of customers. Thank you, Roy. Okay, be good at telling stories, creating imagination, creating a journey, working on impulse factors. See, the thing is this. The reason I was very good at sales and the reason people, you will see that the people who are very good at sales are the people who are good at giving examples, telling stories. Because people, as I've said many times before, and everybody here probably knows, a lot of you will know, that people buy things based on emotions, never based on logic. People hardly buy stuff based on logic. People buy things based on feelings. It's not because, why do we need so many shoes? Why do we need so many bags? Have you bought stuff that till today do you have something at home that you've bought maybe 6 months ago, 1 year ago, maybe a shirt, maybe a pants, maybe a shoe, maybe a bag, maybe some electronic gadgets or something that you've used once and you've never used it again since? Or maybe you've still not used it until now. You bought it 6 months ago and until now you still not used it yet. Do you have that? Why? Why do you have stuff that you buy and you don't use? Why do you have so many things that maybe you don't need? That's because we buy things on impulse, right? Sometimes we see something, maybe a phone case. Some of us have 3, 4, 5 phone cases. Some of us have 20, 30 different pairs of shoes. Some of us have different bags, big bag, small bag, medium bag, gym bag, go to work bag, school bag, weekend bag, and a different type of weekend. This is for, this is for client, this is for sporty bag. I don't know, even gym bags, we have 3 different gym bags. I don't know. Depending on different people's impulse. You see, the thing is, we buy stuff because we like it. Maybe there was a promotion, maybe there was a sale, and we feel like, oh, it's so cheap. You almost feel guilty if you don't buy it. Correct? You feel stupid. Oh, if I don't buy it, I'm stupid. I have to buy it. I cannot. I have to buy it. And you figure out how to use it or when to use it later. It's almost like, okay, you know what? It's so nice. It's so cheap. I think I'll buy it first, and then I'll find out when to use it. Even perfumes. Those of you, you guys are selling perfumes. You know what I'm talking about. We have so many perfumes at home. It's like 10 different bottles, and we never finish any one of those. Why? Because it just smells so good, and it's so cheap, there's a promotion. Oh my God, I just got to get it. Oh, it's so nice. Something like that, right? But that's just the way it is. You see, people buy things based on impulse. So let me give you an example. Let's say, if you're doing, let's say charity sales or something like that. The thing is this: if you just talk about the logic, like where the money is going to, and the kind of projects we're doing for the charity, sure, that's important. I think that's very, very important. But that is the logic aspect of, supporting a charity, or the logic aspect of what the program does or where the money goes. But I think what you want to appeal to is also the emotional aspect, the feelings of what this money can do, or how we're changing the lives of the children or the animals or these things. You want to explain, you want to bring the customer, bring the donor on a journey. Okay, imagine the life of the children like this. Imagine what will happen to them if they don't have education. Imagine what we would be like without education, or without a proper environment, without proper water, without clean water and clean this, clean that, without a proper environment. What would our life be like? Imagine growing up in a situation like this. Imagine life looking like this. How would that make us feel? Imagine having no parents. Imagine growing up, not knowing, who your mom and dad are, stuff like that. Bring them onto a journey. Use words like imagine. How would you feel? What does it feel like if? How do you think, the life of this person is like? Imagine in the next 5 years. Imagine growing up in a situation. Use words like that, so that you create an imagination and a story, a picture. Bring them onto the journey. Take them through the life of, from 5 years old all the way to 15, 20 years old, in a world where, it's very dirty, there's no clean water, or in a world where they don't have education, they sleep in very bad conditions, and they have nobody to teach them the right things, and all this stuff. So walk them through that journey. Imagine yourself, we are on this call. We're lucky, whether you live in a big house or small house, whether your mom and dad are rich or not. The fact is, we are all very lucky because we have iPads, we have iPhones, we've got good education, we went to a good school, and today we managed to get ourselves a good job. But what if we didn't come from a good school? What if we didn't get the education we needed? What if we don't have the money, never mind iPhone and iPads, but what if we are even struggling to have money from day to day to have a meal, to have food? What if we don't live in, even if you live in a small house, but what if we don't even live in a house, like the charities that we're trying to help with? What if that? People talk about they have bills to pay, they have they gotta pay for their house, they gotta pay for their car, they gotta pay for this and that. But the people we're trying to help, they don't even have a house or a car. They don't even have a bicycle, never mind a car. Do you know what I mean? So you want to talk about all these things. You want to create a space where the customer can see themselves in there and imagine what it feels like to be in that environment. Okay, so point number 3 is to remember to tell stories. It's not just about the product. It's not what the product can do. And definitely one very important thing is it's not just always the price, especially if you're selling commercial stuff, like, you're selling perfumes and all this stuff. Don't just talk about the price. Oh, today is so cheap. Oh, we got this promotion. Oh, we're giving this away. I know price is one thing, but don't rely on price, because you cannot promise that we are always selling the cheapest product. You can't guarantee that it's always cheaper. You can't guarantee that. You can't guarantee that this will be the best promotion every time. Okay? But what you can do is to create an impulse, is to create imagination. Make the customer go through the process of the journey with you. so they can feel the emotions of the product or the service or the charity that we're helping, the cause, the mission. Okay, point number 4. 5 ways to instantly improve your sales. Point number 4, I think this is, when I say, you will find that, okay, it's very straightforward, but I don't think people do it enough. And that is, you have to see more people. Okay, you have to see more people / you have to move on. Okay, the way to see more people is you got to move on. So let me elaborate on that. Now, I know everybody understands that, because when you come in, one of the first things we teach you is law of average. Hey, you know, law of average. The thing is this, you got to remember, when I first came in, and before I came in, I've always thought that sales was about convincing a customer. I thought that sales was about, okay, I get a customer, I gotta make this customer say yes. I gotta make this customer say yes. I've always thought that was the case. But then I came in here and I realized that no, that's not true. My mission is not to make this customer say yes. My mission is to find the customer who is already a yes. That's the difference. Okay? So my mission is not to make this customer, I gotta make you say yes. No, your mission is not to make you say yes. Your mission is to find the yes. There are people out there who are yes. There are people out there who are no. No matter what you say, no matter how much time you spend talking to them, it's no. And then there are people who are easy yes. There are people who like to try new perfumes. There are people who believe in aromatherapy. There are people who like this type of products. There are people who believe in good cause and want to support children. There are people who believe that, the greenhouse effect and believe in saving the environment, saving the world. There are people who want to give money to make themselves feel better because they feel like they're helping the world and the society. There are people who cook at home. There are people who do that. But at the same time, there are people who don't. There are people who don't use perfumes. There are people who do not like this smell. There are people who just want to buy cheap products and they don't believe in brands and values. There are people who don't give a shit about the world, the environment, green or not green, eco or not eco. They don't give a shit. There are people who really don't have enough money to donate, or they think they don't have enough money to donate. There are people who don't. So, your mission is not to, make the customer say yes. Your mission is to find the yes. So what we need to do is to learn to move on. So when I say see more people, part of the techniques or part of the strategy there is learning to move on. See, the thing is this, especially when you're new, you don't want to let go. Oh, finally I got a customer. I gotta go, I gotta pitch and pitch and pitch and pitch. And I think that's a bad thing, because you're wasting your time on people who are probably gonna be a no at the end. Learn to recognize the buying signals. People who, okay, so let me ask you this question, okay, very simple, right? Do you think you have a better chance with people who have money but are not listening? As in not listening to you? Have money but not listening? Or people who are listening but not a lot more money? Not a lot of money. Okay? A lot of money, not listening, or listening but not a lot of money? Which customer do you think have a better chance? Of course, it's not gonna be, yes, thank you, Ian, the second one. the people who are listening, of course you cannot say no money, but not a lot, less money. The people who are listening will have a better chance, because the truth is this, we're not selling stuff that is like 10,000 Hong Kong dollars. You know, we're not selling stuff that is like very expensive. Thank you, Annie. Listening but less money. We're selling stuff that is like 500, 200 Hong Kong, 500 Hong Kong, even at the most 1,000, 2,000 Hong Kong. That's it. So how poor must you be not to have that? I mean, we talk about even for charity programs, $200, $300 Hong Kong dollars a month. Come on, anybody can afford that, especially if you have a credit card. If you have a credit card, how can you not have 300 Hong Kong a month? You know what I mean? So the kind of products that we're selling, or the price point that we're selling, is not expensive. So you don't need rich people. You don't need people to have money. You just need the person to be willing to listen. Person who's willing to give you time. The person who's willing to patiently, affordable, yes, patiently willing to understand. What is it? Okay, what is this? Oh, okay, yeah, listen. Then you have a chance. So you must learn to move on. If the customer is not listening, for example, you're talking and they're like this. You're talking and they're looking at their watch. You're talking and they're like, okay, hurry up. Okay, what is this? Okay, so how? What are you selling? How much? If the customer is like that, move on. Let go and move on. Thank you very much. If you look like you are in a big rush, maybe we can talk next time. Thank you. Have a nice day. See you next time. Bye-bye. Maybe we'll talk next time. Maybe we'll see you, the next time when you have more time, Move on. Don't waste time. Don't waste energy on the people who are not willing to give you their time, on the people who are not listening, on the people who are not paying attention. Move on. Because when you move on, you see another person. I don't know, depending on your strike rate, you might need to see more than 10 to 15 customers a day. Okay, pen to paper, you might need more than 10 to 15. I know in charity divisions, some people are doing like 6. If you talk to 6 customers a day, how do you expect to, really do more sales? It's just not possible. Okay, last point. The last point is very interesting. The 5 ways to instantly improve your sales. Point number 5, last point, is you actually have to dare to close. You have to dare to close. So you listen to that, you go like, what do you mean by that, Chee Wai? You see, it actually takes confidence for people to close. I've seen so many new people, even, in fact, not just new people, even leaders that sometimes lose their momentum or lose a bit of confidence. They don't close. So what do I mean by that? I've gone out and I watch people when I train them, and this is what they do. They talk to the customer and then they just present. Yeah, maybe they tell stories. They present, they tell stories, but they just keep going. Bam, 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 bam. And then I watch and I go like, it's time to close. Go. Let's go. Go for the close. But yet, people don't do it. Why? Because I think they are afraid. They're afraid of, the customer saying no. They're afraid of the customer rejecting them. So they just keep going. They just wait. Because maybe they're afraid that the customer go, no. Yeah, I'll think about it. Maybe not yet. Not now. Oh, too expensive. They're afraid. See, you cannot be afraid of that. You have to dare to close. The reason is because rejections are part of the process to the sale. If there is no rejection, there is no sale. There is no close. If there is no close, there is no rejection. There is no There is no opportunity for you to turn, and then there is no sale. You got to understand that sometimes it's just human nature to say no for the first time. Let me give you an example. If you go to your friend's house, or you sit down, you meet somebody, you sit down, and they ask you, hey, do you want a drink? You want some snacks? What do we usually say? You go see your friend, you go to your auntie's house, you go to your friend's house, and then they say, hey, you want a drink? What do we say? What is the first thing we say? Oh, it's okay. No, thank you. It's okay, thank you. Correct or not? Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah. 唔使, 唔該. Yeah, you know what I mean, right? It's very normal. It's normal human behavior. We reject first. But then your friend or your relative, your uncle, auntie asks again, hey, it's okay. We got green tea, we got Coke, we got this. And then you say, okay, I'll take just water. Oh, I'll coffee, please. Oh, Coke is fine. Correct? You see, it's normal human behavior. It's, can I have gin? Yes. It's, you can't have gin now, you got baby already. So you see, it's normal behavior that you say no first, then you say okay. And it's the same with customers. The thing is, customers sometimes they don't realize that. They don't realize that they have this tendency that when you close them for the first time, they go like, I don't know, man, I have to think about it. It's very normal because even for ourselves, we feel irresponsible if we say yes straight away. You see, this is the psychology of human. Even for ourselves, if you go out and you see something, you see a new water bottle, you see perfumes, you see cosmetics, you see jewelry, you see gadgets, you see something, you realize you have this tendency. Sometimes you want to buy something. You want to buy a new case, a new water bottle, a new bag, a new shoe, a new something. You already made up your mind. You know you got to buy it. You know that. And you go out searching for it. You search for the water bottle. You go and see. You go to different shops. You go look for bags and water bottles and stuff like that. You realize that sometimes you already found the one you want, but you walk out. And then you come back again maybe an hour later after your lunch, or maybe you walk out for a while and then you walk back in and then you buy. You realize you do that? How many of you do that? How many of you you go out to buy something, you already found something you like, but then you don't buy straight away. You walk out and then you go back and buy it maybe the next day, 2 days later, or maybe an hour later, or maybe straight away, but you walk out and then you go back in. How many of you do that? Because I do that. But the question is why? You go at 5 minutes. Yeah, but the question is why? Because you see, we feel like sometimes it's wrong to just buy straight away. We are afraid of making the wrong decisions. So we make ourselves feel better by thinking about it. We make ourselves feel better, but we want it, that's for sure. But we make ourselves feel better by walking out, calm down, and then walk back in. Do you know what I mean? Yes, to make sure that I'm not an emotional buyer. You see what I mean? But you want it. You know you want it. You know that's the right one. You know that's the right color. You know that's the right thing. In fact, you are searching for it. You see? So customers are like that. Which means that the first time you close, they will always say no. That's just the way it is. You have to do it again. You have to explain, turn, okay, give them a bit of time and close again. So what I mean by dare to close is, it's not just the first close. You're going to dare to close the second time, dare to close the third time. You're going to dare to close again. I always say to new people that, the way to do well in sales is just close. If you are stuck, you close. You don't know what to say, you close. You finish presentation, you close. You turn the negative, you close. You give the customer some time, you close. You must dare to close. Because only when you close, the sale comes. The best example I can have to give you is this. The best example is It's like football. I've explained this to my trainee before. I watched my trainee present, tell story, and the customer's impulse is like, the customer is following, but my trainee doesn't close. So my example is like football. It's like dribbling. I'm gonna dribble. I'm gonna do this trick. I'm gonna dribble, and not shoot. You see what I mean? You know what I mean? That's exactly what you're doing. If you're not closing, that's exactly what you're doing. Dribble back, dribble forth, dribble front, dribble back, not shoot. You see what I mean? You will not win football matches by not shooting. You just have to shoot. Don't dribble, shoot. Just shoot. You don't know what to do, shoot. You know, you are far from the goal, shoot. You are on the left, you shoot. On the right, you shoot. You are behind, you shoot. You just anyhow shoot. Because the thing, it's just like football. If you anyhow shoot the ball, you will still score goals. Just anyhow shoot. You understand what I mean? Don't dribble. Not like dribble. No matter how you dribble, you will not score. You will not win. But if you anyhow shoot, you might accidentally score. You see what I mean? Okay? So, the last point is dare to close. Always close. And close again and close again. If you finish a presentation, close. Give the customer some time to think about it, close. If you're stuck, you don't know what else to say, close. That's the trick. Okay? All right, that's it, guys. That's the 5 things that you can do to instantly improve yourself. So let me go through it again. Okay, number 1, and it's very good for new people, but even for senior guys, it's a very good reminder. Number 1 is to slow down. Calm down. Take a deep breath. Oh, okay, there's questions. Great. Let me come back to your questions. Number 1 is slow down. Guys, if you got questions, just type it out, okay? Just type it out and I'll answer them. Just calm down, okay? But you're gonna start typing now. So just calm down, okay, and slow down. Because when you're calm and you're slow, you know, it feels like you're having a proper conversation. Number 2 is to ask questions. Care about the customer. Ask the customer about the product or the service or something relevant to the product or service, or ask the customer about something not relevant about themselves. That's okay. But you gotta care, you gotta want to know. And you gotta listen. Number 3 is you gotta be good at telling stories, creating imagination, bringing the customer on a journey, creating impulse. Because people buy on impulse, people buy on feelings, not on logic. Number 4, make sure that you learn to move on. See more people. Your mission is not to convince this customer. Your mission is to find the yes customer, find the easy customer. And number 5 is dare to close. Whenever you're stuck, you close. You don't know what to do, you close. You finish talking, you close. Stop dribbling, and shoot. Shoot. Because if you anyhow shoot, you will score. Okay, let's see. Okay, question. You mentioned if you say no in the first close again and again, how do we find the balance? I think it's very hard to explain how to find the balance because, you know, we want to move on. I think the question is, you know, we want to move. You told us to learn to move on, but you also told us to close and close and close. Now, when I say move on, I mean move on if the person is not paying attention. If the customer is not following you, not paying attention, looking left, looking right, not listening, because you can see people who are following your process or your presentation, they're like, they've got eye contact, they are watching, they're listening. But people who don't are just looking away. They're like, You can tell your words are not going inside. Those, you move on. But once the customer is listening and you are able to finish your presentation, or you have a chance to say enough, you know that's a chance already. That's when you can do 1 close, 2 close, 3 close. So I think that's where you draw the balance. In fact, the truth is this: we always say that, hey, you know, you want to do 3 closes, but the truth is, for some people you can do even more than that. I know it's not usual, it's not normal, but for some people you can even do more than 3 closes because they are really listening, or they really have a question, or they really have doubts about the product and they want to know more. So if you explain more, you actually can close them again. But there are some people that, you know, you feel like maybe, you know what, you get the sense it's just not right, as in they're not really paying attention or listening, then, you know, you close once, maybe you just let go. You know what, it's okay, maybe not this time, thank you. Okay, anybody else with any questions? You're welcome, Roy. Anybody else with any questions? Yes, okay. I'll wait. I will wait. Some of the guys doing sales for a while, they're able to do sales, yes. Okay, so let me go to Pierre's question first. How do you remind yourself to calm down? You know, there is no easy way, right? Except to just tell yourself. Or if you want to, you tell the people next to you. Say, hey, help me, you know, watch out for me. If you find that I'm rushing or I'm talking too fast, just tell me to slow down. You know, so there's no, it's as simple as that. Just tell yourself. You gotta just remind yourself, hey, slow down. And I know it sounds funny, but when you tell yourself enough times, it becomes a habit. It's the same thing. It's the same in sports. It's the same in stuff. You know, sometimes when you go and play certain sports or certain games, you get nervous. The first time you do certain things, you get nervous. You just have to tell yourself, hey, slow down, calm down. And when you get used to that, every time you enter the court, you go into the field, you go into the game, you tell yourself, slow down, calm down. And it becomes a habit. Okay, so back to Ian, some of the guys doing sales for a while, sometimes suddenly they're doing the same thing, they suddenly cannot close. The common reason, welcome Pierre. Okay, so Ian's question is, you know, sometimes they're doing sales for a while and then if suddenly they are unable, you know, they reach a place, they suddenly cannot do sales again. You know, actually, you know, I think it's a good question. I always feel that you never forget how to do certain things. You never forget. If you can sell before, you can sell again. It's like riding a bicycle. It's like swimming. You never forget. You can not swim or not cycle for 3 years and come back and still swim and cycle. You will never forget how to swim or how to cycle. And it's the same with sales. You can never forget. Once you learn how to present and close and all this, you can never forget. So what is happening to those people? You go back to the basics. You go back to the very basic things. Look at the 5 things I talked about today. That could be one of those factors. But I think very often it comes from people who are nervous. For example, if your sales is a bit slow, you're a bit desperate, You start to make the mistakes I talked about in today's topic. You rush. You don't stop and listen and have a conversation because you are afraid that you will lose the sale. So you get desperate, and because you get desperate, you keep talking and talking and talking and talking. You don't want to listen, you don't ask questions because you're afraid they will say no. You make the mistake of not moving on. You are desperate, so you hold on to every customer and you try to convince every single customer rather than moving on to find the next one and the next one. And so you get very disappointed because when you try and convince and the customers say no, you go like, you get very emotionally affected. You see, so that's the cycle. So it's this 5 mistakes. It's actually right here, because that's what happens when your sales is a bit slow or when you're not doing as well. Then your momentum is affected. You get desperate. You get nervous. You start making these mistakes that I talked about. Okay. If a customer or donor is buying your pitch before telling them to donate, how should I link in the full presentation? You know, in some cases, you don't, you're welcome. In some cases, you don't have to. Sometimes, now, I think it would be irresponsible if you completely don't explain anything. But at the same time, you don't need to present everything if the customer is already yes. Because maybe the customer has seen our brand before. Maybe the customer have considered making a donation before. Maybe the customer feels that, yeah, you know, this product is something that I need or I'm willing to try anyway, sure, let's go. So sometimes if the customer is already okay, you just go straight. You just go in. And you just go to the close, you do the paperwork, or you just, you go ahead with the sale. But what you can do if you feel like the information is too short, especially in a charity program where it's important they know what mission we're doing, what projects we're doing. Especially, it's important for the donor to understand where the money is going. And if you haven't had a chance to talk about that, here's what you can do. You close the customer first. And while you're doing the paperwork, you can explain more. Or, as you are about to finish the paperwork, tell the customer, sir, or name the, John or Michael or Michelle or Susan, to say, hey, I think, please excuse me, I need just 5 more minutes because it's important to explain to you where the money is going. It's important for me to explain to you the ingredients of our product. Like just say to the customer, hey, just give me 5 more minutes. Let me tell you the important parts before you go. Something like that. And I think that's what you can do. Okay. Chris, one tip for doing a new project. For doing a new project, I think the 5 tips I shared today is relevant whether it's a new or old project. But if you want one more tip, I think just, learn more about the project. I always believe that when you sell something that you feel that you really know, as if it's yours, as if this is your project, your product, you did it yourself, you own the product, this is your company, and you know everything about it. Because if it's your product, you sell it with passion, you sell it like you know everything. Then that's when you'll be very successful at it. Okay, Roy, when you're doing product testing and sometimes no result. Okay, so if you're doing a product test and sometimes you don't get any results yet, what do you tell yourself? Well, the thing is this: when I'm doing a new product, a new division, or new test, that's the reason I'm doing a test. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know. So our job or our mission is to find what works, is to find what What do the customers like or want? What angle is the right angle? What statement is the right statement? What impulse is the right impulse? That's why it's a test. There is no guarantee that results will come. So we are there to find the way, to create the path. So it's, you know, it's like you go into the jungle and there's no road. You have to cut the road yourself. We have to find the path for the people after us, for the next group of people. That's why we are in there to do the test. That's what I tell myself. That's my job. That's my mission, to find a way. Michelle, I was always reminding myself to find yes people, but how to increase the closing rate at the same time while I can close people between yes and hesitating. Okay, I see. And again, Michelle, I think you are right. There are people that are definite yes, easy yes, not definite, easy yes. And then there's people who are straight up no. And then of course there's a lot in between. I didn't talk about the group in between because as you get more experience, or as you get better in sales, or you know, you get better with your presentation and, you know, closing and all that, the middle group is what makes the difference. For a lot of new people, you want to go with the easy yes first. But the 5 points I talked about today is very relevant with the middle group, because it's what improves your sales performance and improves your overall presentation. Because when you slow down, you have a conversation, and you talk to the customer when you're listening, asking questions, you're building trust. Now, what I say, those 5 things sound like very basic stuff, but in practice, there is a big gap between what I said and the people who can do what I said. The 5 things, you understand? It sounds like it's very simple, but when you practice it, there is different levels of slowing down, different levels of asking questions, and different levels of telling stories. You see what I mean? And that's what makes the gap in between. That's the difference between the people who are intermediate and hesitating. As you get better, because it's about trust, I suppose the key word here is trust. When your ability to build trust increases, your chance of closing increases. That's your strike rate. And trust is all of the things I talked about, but a lot of other small things, such as your body language, your timing, you know, whether you are pausing and allowing the customer to process. Okay, that's where you build trust. Because if you are rushing and you know you are talking too much, the customer feels the pressure, there is not enough trust. But if you are pausing, you're letting information kick in, you allow the customer to process, or allow the customer to give you negatives, the customer can see or feel like you are not rushing to close the sale. The customer can feel that you are not insisting on pushing a product. Trust kicks in. More trust points. You get more trust points. Or as your stories become better, they become more powerful. More trust. So it's down to your ability to build trust. That's where you increase your strike rate. Because if you can build more trust, your strike rate gets better. Okay. All right, guys. I think this is an hour now. I think that's about good enough. We'll catch up again. I'm sure we're gonna have more time to talk about another different topic. For those of you that don't if English was a bit difficult for you, I'm sure there's gonna be Cantonese translation. So, guys, this is it. Thank you all very, very much, and we will speak again next time. All the best. Bye. Bye, Rainy. You're welcome, Roy. Welcome, everyone.